Congratulations to the Chiefs. They put their victory squarely down to the fact that they did inhibit it in good. It's an important tactic in League of Legends, and Rusty, I'm glad that you pointed it out.
I just can't speak anymore.
It's fine.
I've lost the plot.
It's fine. You're very good looking. You don't need to be interesting. Spawn, that game though, go the Chiefs. There's probably not too many worlds where Gravitas take them down, but on a day where we see Legacy fall, it's nice to see the top of the table staying strong, at least on the Chiefs
absolutely.
side.
I mean, if you use the Doctor Strange analogy, right, which I'm sure we're not allowed to legally, but I'll go and push ahead with anyway. There are a lot of universes out there, and I don't think there are many, even if you do sacrifice like 3 members of Gravitas, that you walk away with that win. But it was more how Chiefs went about picking up that win, Nick, because I think some teams have been quite good at stalling the Chiefs out or fighting them in the mid-game this split, which was their strength last split. This time around, they get really good, early game level 1. And just from the get-go, they're super aggressive towards that bottom side of the lane, playing around that Varus that got allowed through the draft. Thean back to his winning ways on the top side, just taking care of business up there solo, and everywhere else kind of, playing together as a unit, which is what we want to see out of the Chiefs Esports Club.
Rusty, was there anything on the broadcast that you wanted to say but just got too tongue-tied?
Yeah, kinda. I wanted to compliment Croc as well. That felt like more of a Croc game. Like, I know that he was playing the Kane and things went his way early, but that felt much more like when I look at the map, I know what Croc's doing because he's the most important person to me at all times. That felt much more like one of those games from the Chiefs, and I think that's a big part of that invigoration.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to the Chiefs. And speaking of their history and how they've been going, we're going to take a look back at the, like I mentioned before, the first round robin for this split has been completed as of the end of Friday last week. So we thought it was the perfect time. Take just a second to look at the state of play at the moment, what's happening in terms of the team's strengths and their weaknesses. So this is the split stopwatch. Beautiful. That stopwatch needs some weird ears, though.
Some big ears.
Needs some big ears on that thing. Yeah, so like I said, we're just going to pause for a second, take a look at what we've learned so far, what we like, what we don't like, think could improve. So let's start with the winners, at least. Spawn. Who is your winner for this for mid-split so far?
Winner for me was Legacy, because I always say in a league where nothing changes and you've won, then you're a winner, because you should still continue to keep winning. And when you have a look at all of the shuffles that did happen in this offseason of the OPL, none of it was good enough to be able to dethrone Legacy. And then their main contender that was trying to dethrone them the entirety of the split were the Chiefs, and they lost CK. And then they get through the entirety of the first round robin undefeated. Chiefs look a little bit shaky. They drop a game to Pentanet in the first week. They drop another game to Legacy. So I just thought Legacy were the big winners.
That's right. And then, you were so confident in Legacy that you were willing to call them the big winners even before the game which you would play against them. That's how confident you were.
Which is really funny, because when you get to our losers, you'll see why it's funny.
Rusty, your winner for the split, please.
Yeah, for me, it's Pentanet. I just think that the addition of Pabu raised a lot of eyebrows, right, to the jungle role. He was replacing someone who played the jungle role for quite some time, and you can have expectations that it'll be good, that it'll be bad. People from international regions are like, well, that guy beat Faker, he's going to be insane. But we didn't know. And they came in the first game, and actually, Spawn mentioned it, right? They beat the Chiefs. And you're like, oh, is that is this just a prepared thing because this is the first game we've seen of them, or are they the real deal? And my takeaway from that game was Pabu jungled really well. The team looked a lot better, and through this split, while they haven't gone undefeated, they're 5-3. I think they've also found themselves with Pabu in the role. So if they're able to continue to improve, I think they're legitimate contenders. And comparing that to last split's Pentanet.gg, I think they're massive winners.
I would say so for sure, and particularly given, I mean, we've spoken about this, but the idea that at the beginning of last split, PGG came in and they were like, "We have all the pieces, we've got it all down, like we are ready to go, we are the team, we're going to take it out," and then it just didn't happen. And it is nice to see that growth and then settling into it. And also, the big winner for Pabu is I now follow him on Twitter, which I didn't before. And he finally became a good enough player that I felt he was worthy of a follow.
Obviously, the dream of all OPL players, Nick, to get you in their mentions there.
I mean, really, like you look at I only follow the cream. I follow the cream of the crop, and then I also follow rare. Okay, and then my winner, because obviously, like I don't have the cogent league analysis that you do. My winner of the split so far has been Twitch chat. You guys have really stepped your game up. I want to say that you guys have been very welcoming to a lot of new people who've come along since the MSS. You've been not as salty as we're used to, which is very enjoyable. But you have been very contributive, helpful. You're getting on board with all the games. Twitch chat is just a joy to hang out with you each week. Sure, I might be pandering to you right now. Sure, I might be trying to buy your love by shouting you out on the broadcast. But at the same time, I feel like Twitch chat has stepped up the game this split, and I wanted to.
Yeah, it certainly seems that they have showered a little bit more and maybe picked up their first book in a decade. So.
That's, yeah, that's something at least. Conor McGregor, your loser. Spawn, that's you.
Me?
Yeah.
Am I Connor?
Someone in the Twitch chat said it's like I'm watching Harry Potter interview Conor McGregor.
All I want to say is who the fuck is that guy like? But I won't say it on live broadcast, Nick. Okay, my loser was Order. Because Order came in to the end of last split and they had 5 games in a trot before the playoffs. Then they took care of business against Avant Gaming. And then they went into a series against Direwolves that I thought they should have won, but there was a big technical issue that obviously rattled them a little bit, and Direwolves' tenacity came back and were able to reverse sweep them. But obviously, with the inner workings of the team in mind, I thought that this was a team that was only going to get better off the off-season. The way we train is pretty intense, so they had to learn a lot of new concepts, and I think that you see that through the stat changes. If you look at like Swiper's stats change from last year to this year in particular, and Harry's stat changes of like how we demand they play the map, it is very different to what they used to. So I thought, a quick reset, quick go home, see your family, come back refreshed. They were going to absolutely burst onto the scenes in round robin number 1. And what did we get? We got the typical 3-4 start, baby. 1-1s everyone, and just lose to everyone that is above you on the ladder and beat everyone below you, with the exception of Pentanet, obviously, now. But I thought that a team that probably should have been top 2 after the changes went across, finishing 6th after the first round robin, was a big disappointment.
And I mean, like you said, this was after this is sort of taking stock after the first round robin, and they seem to have taken on the notes that they weren't given until right now on the broadcast.
Is this the progression of the same guy, beard over 1 year? That's funny. The peak. Punk is elite. You're a funny person, but no, this is only like 3 weeks of a beard for me. I grow up very quickly. But continue. Yes, well, sorry.
The beard is he shaves it and he sticks it to the top of his jacket. He's actually wearing my shirt. It's just got beard on top of it. Rusty,
I wish I could grow a beard like Spawn is my takeaway. I think that's why we're the progression, because we have nothing, mustache, and then Spawn. That's
true. That's true. Yes, he is the manliest of all of us. Rusty, you're loser.
I feel like I don't know which one to pick, Nick. I think we all know which 2 options I would be looking at. And
there are just too many.
No, I want to say it's Gravitas.
Yep.
I knew it.
Pardon?
I knew you were going to pick that. All yours is a team acquired Pabu and got better, and a team lost Pabu and got worse. That's actually the best analysis.
That's not directly what I'm trying to say, because it does involve top lane, though. I thought picking up Kwaku was a good pickup, because he really did come into form at the end of the first split. Mm-hmm. And, towards the end of the first split, Mammoth started to slowly find their wins and ramp up, and you're like, okay, we're making progress. And then Gravitas started to make their late push as well, and we're like, okay, like, they've made progress. And then we come into the second split, and I feel like everything that they'd built up for themselves in the first split has gone back to square one. And that's not a year progression type of thing that we're seeing from them, right? And they did make changes. They didn't commit to the team for the year that they had. And that's something that may be a factor in it, but it's come back to hurt them. You know, Kwaku found himself, comes to Gravitas, and unfortunately was on the bench for this last game because he's had some pretty rough games overall in there, and I'm worried for Gravitas.
There you go. I'm worried for Gravitas too. I mean, Mammoth and Gravitas, it's just it's no fun down that end of the table, and you guys deserve a win. You've got another round robin ahead of you, so please pick up the game, and then you'll bust into Rusty's winners category. All right, my loser for the first split is Twitch chat. You guys are good, but at the same time, you're also not that good at all. This is your chance. This is your broadcast. That's the thing that makes us different. You should be participating more. Join in those games more. Send in more videos for the NeoSurf thing. Just be a more inclusive, wonderful community. I gave you some praise before, and now this is there's a carrot, there's a stick, there's the sugar, there's the spice, there's the real love, and there's the tough love, and this is what we've entered into. I'll send Conor McGregor after you if you ignore what I'm saying. This is your opportunity to become a part of the broadcast. Take my advice, become a better Twitch chat, and enter the NeoSurf competition. All you need to do is become a part of our opening titles. As you've seen many wonderful videos from the last round of this. We did it for the first round robin. We're doing it for the second round robin. NeoSurf want you to take home a $500 NeoSurf voucher to spend on the League of Legends store. All you need to do is create a quick video of you joining our opening titles phone call, follow NeoSurf Esports on Twitter and OPL, and then send a DM with your video to @OPL. That's all. There are terms and conditions on watch.lolesports.com, and NeoSurf are just rolling in so much sweet, sweet cash that not only does the winner get $500, but you have 5 runners-up will each get a $100 voucher for use in the League of Legends store and included in those opening titles. So a big thanks to our partner NeoSurf, the only solution that lets you pay in cash online to thousands of websites, including League of Legends. And speaking of League of Legends, it's time to go into Rusty's winner for the first round robin of Split 1 PGG versus Rusty's runner-up loser of the first round robin Split 1 in Mammoth. It is PGG versus Mammoth, and it is coming up now with the Macca's Champ Select.
So yeah, tonight we play against Pentanet. They have a pretty strong team and have been impressing me lately, so we're going to have to come out with all our guns to hopefully come away with a win.
I think Pentanet has been playing much better recently, and I think BioPanther especially has been playing much, much better, so I think it'll be an interesting game.
So Pentanet are a pretty good team. I think they always have pretty good drops going into the weekends, and I think Pabu has transitioned into the jungle role pretty well.
I think Shock is a really good player, and playing against him will be really fun.
And welcome back to game number 3 of the night, with Mammoth looking on to basically taking a red-hot form Pentanet.gg, the team that just continue to impress week in and week out. They continue to receive a lot of creative drafts, but also a lot of respect picks, and the fact that Rogue constantly gets this fresh, keeps dominating as a result of it, and Praetor keeps getting gifted the farm. I mean, a crazy stat that came out of last week is when they versed Avant, Praetor did 43% of his overall team damage compared to Violet only doing 16. So the guy is an absolute monster. They continue to play around him. And I remember yourself, Jake, you were saying that there was a weird point in Split 1 where they weren't. They kind of like deviated away from the Praetor hype train. Yep. They looked a little bit different. They've returned back to it and looked strong ever since.
Yeah, and I mean, I think having Pabu being such a vocal member, kind of directing the troops around that bottom lane, would only be helping the Pentanet lineup. When you have a look at how they've been playing lately, Skimmy is a little bit more towards the start of that Split 1, but you have to say that their setup and control around objectives has been like greatly improved, and they will actually move BioPanther super early to a lot of those objectives to be able to pick them up. However, I think a lot of it has been off the back end of the playmaking of the bottom lane. And now that all the playmaking is gone, Set, Kalista, Varus, Thresh picked away from Rogue, I am very interested to see where they go with this bottom lane draft.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that you raised. You know, you deny away the Thresh, then you pick away the Set that Puppy's been using to great effect in a lot of these matchups, and twice now they've combined it with the get back Cassidy mids. And Wombo comboed rather effectively. Last week, obviously, we had the Twisted Fate come out of Get Back as well with some pretty much, I want to say, kamikaze, crazy ultimates in, baiting out 4 members, acting as a pseudo tank in some kind of weird fashion, using the Zonias and the stopwatch to good effect. And the C basically just ran rampant with the fight as a result. This time, we are going to get the volley bear, and they are going to still keep the enemy guessing as to, is it going to be top lane, is it going to be jungle? We've only seen bio play it so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if Parbu has been practicing it as well.
Yeah, there's kind of a trio of bruisers that are kind of playable jungle at the moment, Skimmy, and that's going to be your Set, your Olaf, and your volley bear. I mean, you can throw different things on top, like Trundle, who's not really a bruiser, he's more of like a melee absorb, to use like a really old school term. And then Kane, who once he gets red form, is certainly a bruiser. But those 3 primary ones kind of have, very good gang setup, very good mid games, and then they all kind of fall off a lot late game, to be honest, in the jungle position, because you just don't get enough gold to make them really reliable. But that seems to be the style that Parbu does favor at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually play the volley bear if they do get a better matchup top lane for Biopanther.
Well, we can see there's a fair bit of emphasis now shown the way of Get Back, denying away both the Syndra and the Azir. Azir his most played this split next to that Kassadin. Still a potential idea, but the Orianna is a staple, and with the Syndra being denied away, the classic pick into that. He has played the Echo as well, and that's what we're currently seeing as a hover.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, because I don't think Echo has the best laning phase into Orianna. Unlike Azir, who kind of struggles to win out on these auto-attack trades if Echo does close the distance, given the fact that Orianna has a, on-command shield as well as way better auto-attacks, I think that she does deal with melee kind of assassins, the best out of any control mage in League of Legends, Skimmy. So I find this an interesting pick. Not to mention the fact that the ultimate is a little bit counterintuitive. You know exactly where Echo is going to go back to. And if you're Orianna and you can hold that ultimate, you can kill him a lot of the times, as he does attempt to go for those all-in plays. So I'm interested to see how Chungi navigates this lane, because I feel like this is one that should be winnable for Orianna.
And that's, a point that you say Orianna outranges at least before level 6, and once level 6 comes online, has the ability to, as you say, telegraph where that recall is going to go back to, look to get the Shockwave online and just sort of showcase his proficiency. This is another pick that we saw debuted as Mammoth found their first victory of the split when they took down Gravitas. It was a top lane Nico. Gave them a ton of knock-up potential, a ton of strong engage, and really prevented the all-in collapse that, well, pretty much what we're seeing coming out here from Pentanet.
Yeah, okay, this is an interesting one, because what I hadn't thought of is that could be Echo Jungle, because Parbu did play a lot of it and climbed on it. However, now they've swapped the volley bear into the jungle role, and they've actually gone with Sion tank into the Nico. Now, Nico is a lane bully, Skimmy. She's going to put a lot of work into this Sion early, but what you would have seen in Game 1 is that Sion just insta-clears waves. So even when you set him behind, it is so easy to maintain really good CS on Sion, just because of how much damage he does to the creep wave with his abilities. So
yep.
I think that this is one of the best negative tank matchups, where Sion will just be able to catch a lot of this at his turret, absorb the damage that comes out of Lived. The nice thing about playing mages, if you are a Sion, is the fact that their damage is kind of telegraphed. There's no surprising auto attacks or crits or anything like that coming out. You know how much damage they should do to you. And I feel like Biopanther would be pretty experienced in just farming up in this lane.
What I will ask, though, to add to that, Spawn, is in terms of the actual lane state, you've got 2 matchups now, both mid and top, both your solo lanes having ranged into melee, basically. So we're expecting Mammoth to try and find some strong advantages. Would you say then the counter argument for Pentanet is to effectively use their teleports to find action maybe in the bot lane?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that's what we've seen in the past, right? The ability for Biopanther to group up on this ultimate or something like that and just be able to affect Summoner's Rift. I think the danger is Lee Sin should be better early than what Volibear is. And then you do mention the fact that it's double range into melee. So that means you probably can't do anything topside. And if the only area you can go is bottom lane, all you have to do is get 1 teleport advantage, Skimmy. And that early game plan is completely cooked if you are the Pentanet.gg lineup. So I would expect something a little bit more tricky whether it's a lane swap, whether it's the ability for like a level 2 or 3 gank from this Volibear to try and unlock a flash or something, and be able to push out a lane with his counterpart. But I do feel like they're going to have to play a pretty stellar early game. Mid to late game, this comp is insane, but early it should be difficult to play.
Yeah, no denying the strength that they will have, which is when Pentanet tend to flourish the most. But it has been a case of seeing them, especially in weeks of past, starting to really patch up their strengths in the early and mid game. And I think the best example was when he went up against Avant. It looked like both teams kind of flipped their archetypes as to Avant playing late game and Pentanet playing early, and just sort of commanding that strength. And you sort of been quite vocal on the Pabu argument as to how influential he's been around this map, trying to make things happen as a result. That's why I'm curious as to, given that the matchups in those solo lanes could be quite rough, at least before level 6 comes online, the emphasis surely then becomes on their bot lane, which there's no questioning has such an insane ability, but we continue to see Imbo Monartic and Press, and given that they've gone for a denial on a comfort, yes, Rogue still has a hooking champion, but it has that swing matchup that could definitely favour either.
Yeah, and I think that this is a pretty good matchup for the Thresh and the Ezreal. Don't get me wrong, I think that Nautilus certainly is a good pick into Thresh still, but it just allows you to play around Purple Gun so well. Shouldn't be any kill threat really set up in this bottom lane, Skimmy. And I think that overall, like, what you have to look at is how will the lane play out? And the reality is Aphelios is going to push in and look to unlock bottom river, which is fine as an Ezreal. We actually saw this earlier when the Legacy lineup played it with an Enchanter, so it was even more losing. But all you're really saying then is you're going to lose 2 turret plates, before Dragon and Herald spawns. If you can't contest that first Herald, you're never going to win first turret race. You're never really going to be able to swing the control of the Aphelios around Summoner's Rift. So once again, Pentanet would know this with their draft. They play drafts like this all the time. But I do just want to point out they are also a team, much like Legacy, that has slowed down as the split has gone on. They started off very, very quickly. But the last couple of games they've played, they have been saved by the Kassadin. And I think that, not having the Kassadin in this game could prove telling.
Yeah, they've been, you don't want to say using it as a crutch, but there's definitely been a few games where the game has been quite slow for the most part. They've hit that sort of break point where a level 11, maybe a decisive Dragon Call, Baron Call, whatever it may be, comes online. Pabu just jumps into the fold of things, and you look at it and say, is that an int? But suddenly it turns into a miraculous five-man face breaker that just makes it so easy for the Wombo combo to then follow in quick pursuit. So changing things up here. Quite curious to see, obviously, the Volibear jungle influence once again. We've obviously seen how influential it can be in a top lane matchup, and I don't want to draw too many parallels to the likes of a Wukong in the same kind of fashion as to the resource disparity between going solo lane and jungle, but we start to wonder how the shake-up of power really influences it. No denying the fact that Pentanet, there were a lot of times, even when Sully was their jungler, right, was diving turrets level 2, level 3 as a Karthus. So they're definitely not going to be any strangers, and level 6 comes online. We know what Volibear can do.
Yeah, no, they play around push really well as a team, right? And you do mention those games where Sully was on the Karthus and he was able to get in between the turrets, cut off creep waves, set up turret dives. And I think Pabu would be looking for the same thing. The difference between maybe a Volibear and a Wukong, as you pointed out, is that Volibear is certainly better pre-6, has better gank setup, and then Wukong needs items to be able to scale. Whereas all Volibear really is like this disruption melee. And I think that Wukong, if you give him 3 good items, whether it's Cleaver or Trinity Force, into their stance, into, Sterix or GA, something like that, he will just light up and one-hit your backline. Whereas Volibear's never really going to do that. He'll just get tankier and tankier as the game goes on. And those junglers are much more suited to the jungle just because of how Cinderhulk interacts with other HP items. So I certainly think that Volibear is a better jungler right now than what Wukong is. I think Warrior actually probably needs a slight buff, Skimmy, because I think we have a bit of a delay. So, but it seems like runic jungle items, if you're a Karthus or an Elise or an Evelynn, and you get to runic really quickly, you're unrivaled. I think that the mid-game power spike of Cinderhulk is just super strong. Even champions like Olaf are going for Cinderhulk again. Yep. Warrior does seem to be a little bit less interesting and interactive. Maybe because Warrior jungles, take over the game on Red Smite Warrior if it is too strong. But it does feel like it has been kind of left behind for a little while now.
Yeah, it definitely does feel to be the case, the priority of being tanky as opposed to looking to try and carry from that position. What is interesting for me is we talk about how the matchups favour Mammoth and those solo lanes to start things off with. You say that the Lee Sin should have a good time being a little bit more impactful than the Volibear as well. So I'll be looking at Mammoth abusing the fact that they all have these strong matchups, having the priority to act as if he's a Graves in Italy, looking to try and power farm, but looking at him to say, I can be aggressive, I can get into your jungle, be it a counter jungle, be it a gank, be it a priority numbers mismatch to make sure that our early game is strong. So if we do have this quote-unquote wait for their scaling idea in mind for Pentanet, the disparity between their gold levels, whatever it may be, is too much for them to try and bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the best thing about Lee Sin is you always have the option of not ganking early. So Lee Sin is a really good early fighter. You know, you get level 4 Raid Smite, he will nearly 1v1 anyone on Summoner's Rift. But if you get to level 6, you know, on kind of a good timing, you know, maybe half a level behind your mid laners, you also have legitimate 1v1 threat on nearly everyone on Summoner's Rift, right? And the old style of play Lee Sin was to just be super efficient around your pathing, get to level 6 ASAP, and look for a kick on mid lane control mages. So obviously no control mage in this composition, but I can see kind of the Aphelios or the Scion being a little bit of a sitting duck if the Lee Sin is able to get there on a good timing skimmy. And then off the back end of that, that is when I would expect Mammoth to try and accelerate this game. They have a way better 2-item composition than their counterparts on Pentanet.gg, so they need to be able to get active around that 18 to 24 minute mark and try and put this game away early.
And then, I mean, that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, is the fact that they've got these lane states that could favour that. They have these early game champions that can look to try and become as snowballed as possible. And the fact that the Nico is kind of like that pocket pick, that tech pick, if you will, that could look to try and cause the opposition a few troubles. I mean, we saw when they did it into Gravitas, the fact was they managed to get Chungy his Yasuo, obviously banned away here, still the respect is shown to his best champion. But so many other champions that provided knockups, like the Nautilus, like the Wukong, were denied away as well. So the Nico came out as that flex, and we thought, oh, this is a bit of a change of things. But the fact of the matter was, it was a double support composition with a Renekton engage and a backline ADC, that the Nico basically cut the fight in half and said, you can't go here, we can't do this. And I look at this in a similar fashion and say that could be the difference maker when we're looking at maybe a potential Smite steal, potential Baron or Dragon play where everyone's coming together. The Nico Blossom could be quite impactful, as it looks like we are getting ourselves ready in. Apologies for the small delay there, guys, as we get ready into game number 3, but here we are. As it will be Mammoth on the left side of your screen, taking on Red Hot Form Pentanet.gg. That will have a bit of an uphill battle here, given the points we mentioned already.
We'll see whether they do it. Yeah, see how they approach that uphill battle on Summoner's Rift, because I think we've outlined the win conditions pretty well, Skimmy. When you have a look at it, you have a control mage mid lane, you want to be able to build a CS advantage through that war of attrition and being able to chip this assassin down. You have, once again, control mage top into a tank, you want to be able to chip him down, and then allow your Lee Sin to run rampant. I'm not expecting a huge gold lead early game, but I am expecting experience or CS leads in the solo lanes, depending on what they actually prioritize, freezes or pushes here. And I would say that this Lee Sin should be able to get a free level 6, which is always a nice place to be on Summoner's Rift. On the flip side, with Pentanet, I would say that unless they do something really special, this game might need to be slow for them. They might need to get into a 1-3-1 before they really are able to see the true advantages of their comp.
And that's when I start to wonder, right, here, Spawn, the keyword surely from Mammoth has to be proactive as to what can they look to try and use, do, or make happen to give themselves those win conditions. So that mid-game could be that weird moment, that shaky part where there's no neutral objective to contest, where things can come to a bit of a slowdown, and as you quite rightly point out, that is where Pentanet can look to try and say, well, you've given us all the time in the world now to try and stabilize and put this on a balancing act. We'll get to see, as it will be an aggressive bot lane. Teleports are available. Be 3-2, so Mammoth will have the ability to make things happen, and Bowman could eke out a small advantage as Praetor has opted for the more dueling potential as he's gone for the heal.
What has happened here? So, the Mammoth bottom lane looked like they leashed a little bit, Skimmy. Looked like Artek, at least through a couple of autos, were sitting on the back of the red buff. But they've been able to get complete control of this bottom lane wave to the state that they're actually pushing 6 creeps into nothing. And you have a look what that means. It means that Pabu is on the right side of Summoner's Rift, but a big fat ward is just being dropped on his noggin right now, and they know exactly where he is. So Pabu's early game pathing means he's going to have to path back towards one of his losing lanes. There's no counter jungling to be done here. I think this is a little bit of a blunder from the Pentanet bottom lane. They should be looking for a dive off this wave. Instead, Pabu has access to no one.
Uses the sweeper, clears out the vision, but Mammoth put it down once again as hooks go flying. But no kill attempt will happen here today. As you say, Pabu shows face now in the mid lane, still waiting for that scuttle to appear. And that will be the ping on the minimap, up in 15 seconds, showing protection to his mid laner.
And this is the thing about Lee Sin, Skimmy. Lee Sin is not the quickest jungler in the game, but he remains 100% health without potions in the jungle. If you just rotation your W and your W2 well, you're never going to lose any health. So he is always ready to fight. You can see he's going towards what looks to be a Scuttle Crab right now. He's going to be able to pick that one up. And then, you know, off a 4-camp clear, should also be able to take the entirety of his topside jungle, if he so chooses. In fact, he's going to start some counter jungling right now. And Pabu, historically, has tried to kick people out of his jungle and taken these fights.
And this is what I was excited for. Would Bass look to try and be active in the jungle? They've got vision, they know exactly where he is. He's going to safeguard away to his own wards. But now in a 1v2 situation, responds by saying, Lived, please back me up. But we'll get out.
Good little cheat from Liv there. We talked about it a lot, but just the dip into Fog of War means that they can't chase any further forward. They know that he has flash, they know that he probably has second ward hop up and available if he wants to be able to use it. Speed Shrine is there for Liv. Any flank, any CC landing would definitely be a kill. And in that time, Chungi cheats himself a reset without having to use teleport. And we've already spoken about this. This should be a good lane for the Orianna. Well, he's already up 10 CS, Skimmy, and Praedyth has just fired a Q into absolute Narnia.
He certainly has. Not the mover he'll be wanting to watch. The hook will land pretty well, and Rogue is going to take a bit of a beating.
That's the Wayless or the Godvi for the LPL fans in the chat. He's just thrown the arrow completely backwards.
He's been his most played champion this split. Most played champion this year as well at 10 games.
Isn't that the
highest
dream?
Win rate as well.
Isn't that the dream, that you just get to play 10 dreams of the most broken champion all year? Obviously, Varus is way more busted on this current patch. But if you look at the year as a whole, nothing compares to Ophelia.
Well, Dominions get locked in place as the teleports come on in thick and fast. It's going to be a full 5-man collapse here from Mammoth, abusing the bot lane, making sure it will not favour Penta. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade so far as both supports fall on down. But now Lee Sin gets aggressive and he takes out the Echo. Pabu jumps deep, will take out Lived, but the cost is high because now Lee Sin gets himself a double kill and Graviton will lock the rest of them in place. The skill shots continue to land. And Bash tried to donate it across to one of the carries. It will not connect, so we'll flash him forward. And just like that, bot lane is the action. 5 minutes in, 6 kills occur.
And what did we say, Skimmy? If you are able to force one of these tanks out and get a teleport advantage, then the bottom lane play will no longer work. Fire Panther had used his teleport topside. That means that Lived is just able to teleport down there for free. It's going to be a 4v5, and they're going to pick up the first good team fight of this game.
Big fight that happened before level 6 came online. We'll check it now. All started here as the hook lands from Arctic.
Yeah, and this is crazy because they've gone past the wave, and you see Fire Panther is back in lane with teleport. His bottom lane just needs to know he can't go for this. And they made a meal of it, Skimmy, because you can see that Get Back gets onto Artek for free, no CC hits him, and they also miss the first route coming out of Liv. I actually thought Liv should have lived there. Name is really terrible in League of Legends. But I don't really get how that second W registered. Well done here from Bass. He flashed forward to guarantee the kill went to Orianna, but that's a big victory for the Mammoth lineup. They're 1,000 gold up. They get themselves first dragon. And Skimmy, the area of the map we said they should lose was bottom lane.
Certainly was, and now that's definitely going to help them so much. They used their teleports to good effect, and Boma was able to get himself a nice usage as well by going back to base and coming back with some solid dueling potential. Has opted for the tier as opposed to the Sheen. Continue to stack up from afar. Continue to harass and keep Praedyth in check.
Yeah, what I've seen, Skimmy, is that when you actually have lanes that you can win, going for some flat AD early is actually better, as trade of ultis here out of the mid laners.
That's going to be the choreography we get to look forward to all game long. The baiting of the ultimate, who has the better discipline of pressing the R button.
So the reason I like that for now, for Get Back, is he has 2 Corrupting Potion charges. What he needs to be worried about is the fact that Chungi does have Blue Ball. So as soon as he levels up, he's going to get some mana back. And whilst Orianna is a very... Oh, hold the thought. That's
Pabu.
Oh.
He's jumping in. This is a forced fight. He's going to land fully on top of his head. They're all going to get stunned, all going to get locked in place. He receives the Ignite. One all to do it. Chuck a minion at his head and guarantee it as Pabu gets himself a 2nd kill to his name.
Yeah, really well played from Pabu there, but you got to say that was nearly flawlessly played by Lived as well. Sends out the clone, stops the Scion ultimate, gets the 2-man Pop Blossom as well. Nearly was able to walk away from that one. And just as I said that they should kind of lose bottom side and win top side, Mammoth just continue the strange ways, Skimmy, and kind of do the opposite.
Opportunities here given to Pentanet to try and get themselves back into this game. A weird situation to say, but it is the situation we have at the moment, as Mammoth will do, well, a revealing lane swap going towards this Herald.
These are always my favorite plays in League of Legends, though, Skimmy, because what are you going to do about it? Even if you know that...
Okay, that is a little bit cheeky, and it's a little bit creative. They're not going to fall victim to the clone baits. He flashes forward. He's got the Hex Flash, but he knew what he was after, and he shuts down the side lane pressure. But it's Pentanet playing to what they do best, right? Trading objectives and gifting all these turret plates across the Praetor.
Yeah, I mean, that's Pentanet just reading the map state very nicely. They knew they had to dive, live there. And just shout out to Twitch chat quickly, Skimmy. I've always wanted to do this in a game, and I thought maybe I'll give it a crack right now, which is just some live commentary on Twitch chat. Shout out to DashBB, who said, you know you're getting smashed in lane when you're down 3 waves. Well, I just would like to point out that Lived did teleport bottom lane and get his team 4 kills. Maybe, just maybe, that's worth 3 waves of gold. Maybe not, but I would say that Liv so far has done his role in the game. Got ganked that time, which was a little bit unfortunate. So that was interesting commentary from Twitch chat, but we'll see how it goes.
Twitch chat at its finest.
It's just like, who was I listening to? Someone did an interview, and it's like, do commentators often misread the game? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, players often misread the game, and they make mistakes, right? But I think it's just sometimes people are just real negative, and it gets me go.
Oh, it's got me going, especially. It was one of those days, but regardless, Pentanet going to be quite content with how things went in their favor, given the state of that lane gank bottom sides. They're going to be the ones that actually find themselves in the lead, up by 10 minutes. But Mammoth will still continue to hunt around.
That's some great acting.
Bass has been very patient here, but Praetor very on the money. Will flash away instantly, will not be kicked away, and now the turnaround here from Pentanet is strong, showing their strength, showing their cohesion as a roster.
Yeah, that was some really good acting from Artek. Unfortunately, the execution on the play was not there due to the teleport. That's a very nice shockwave because his clone was on top of himself. 1v1 solo kill going to be picked up for Chungi there. And Mammoth, they're losing a lot of plates bottom lane, but they are showing some fight across the map.
That's clean. Chungi will look for those every opportunity he's afforded. I like it. I do like it a lot, and he's definitely coming into his own as the split continues. It's great to see sort of the evolution when these rookies come in and how their performance really shakes up as the weeks go by, from comforts into more team-style play, the evolution, if you will. I hold that full. Because Pabu was going to try and dunk it down on their heads, but they will flash away. Top side of their roster. With a little bit less mobility now, with the second dragon spawning.
Yeah, however, ultimate is not going to be available for Pabu, and his positioning will be scouted out. Does flash forward.
More flashes get burned as a result right now. Both teams trying to eke out any kind of advantage that they can, even on kills, but a small goal lead still continues to favor Pentanet. Ultimate check. No shockwave right now, but still a ton of wombo combo is available here for Mammoth. They're posturing, and they are grouped as 5 as they've actually bullied Pentanet out of the river.
Okay. Very interesting, because they knew Lee Sin didn't have any threat on the backline because he doesn't have flash or ward with his kick skimmy. They know no shockwave available. And Liv doesn't have flash to also get in there because that was just burn right in front of their noses. Pentanet still think the fight is a little bit too risky to take. So instead they back away. That's a massive win because they also got the teleport out and they will get some plates down onto Mboma here. So very nice swing play here for Pentanet.
Very interesting shot call, and the punishment potential is twofold now. You talk about Dragon, they get a kill, and they get a Herald. A lot of gold going their way, and what was a win for Pentanet only moments prior, now is completely undone.
And they should stay on the map right now and continue to try and take down this bottom lane turret. Lift has got a couple of things to be able to defend top lane with, and Chungi obviously has his teleport still available. So I think that they should win this race, Skimmy, and the first turret going over to Ezreal would be a massive good news story for Mammoth in this game.
More plates continue to go the way of Pradev, who is well on his way to getting that first item complete. But the first turret, as you say, will go down in favor of Ezreal, quickly to be followed up here by the Pentanet duo topside.
They've taken too many plates. This is the thing about Aphelios, mate. You can't necessarily take turrets on the first wave because the plates fall so quickly. However, they will get it this time around. And I would love to see who is actually leading. Oh! He didn't get it! What a disaster!
That was going to be my question exactly. What does the gold look like between these two despite the CS differences? Have the plates evened out? What is apparent otherwise? Bit of an interesting play there. One auto would have done it, but had to actually zone himself away because he went for harass on towards that Nico.
And the Scion's not taking bottom lane turret. Someone just take a turret from Pentanet. Both of them are so low, Skimmy. Plate's no longer gone, first turret not there, so they will fall down eventually. And it looks like instead they just want to group around this Rift Herald. However, Mammoth have arrived here first. They do have top wave pushed. So the longer this fight goes, the more it suits the Mammoth lineup. I think you can just genuinely give this one up. Go take their blue buff. Go do something else on Summoner's Rift. There's no point fighting them.
Well, Mammoth can have a nice little early power spike here. They've got two water blasters. They can lock members in place, facilitate multiple picks. They've got a ton of CC obviously to combine with it. Both teams respecting that. They want to try and grip up around this. Lift has other ideas in mind though, has forced Biopanther to come to this team given the fact that he's rotated through that unsealed spellbook and doesn't have the teleport available currently, so there is no rush here for Mammoth. They are forcing Pentanet's hand.
Yeah, and I think right now, if you are Mammoth, you have access through mid. You don't necessarily have to use it, though it looks like they want to, Skimmy. And they're going to teleport for this. This is going to be a 5v5.
They're going to jump straight in right now. They're going to get locked in place. The turret falls on down, but will we find some kills? Lantern gets out Bass, but he gets right slapped on down. Bio says hello, and it's a shutdown they just absolutely love to see. Both junglers deleted as the Blossom comes out, but Bio doesn't care. He walks on past it. He is a one-man army, zoning out Chungi, zoning out Arctic, and keeping Mboma locked away in the jungle. Rogue, with the last stretch of his health bar, goes for a hook, tries to find another pick, but there's only so much health that Biopanther has in a tank, and he eventually will fall on down.
And another very decisive fight across for the Mammoth lineup here, Skimmy. They win that one 3-1. And they will be able to get a little bit of chip damage done to this turret, and Bowman does need to be careful because I assume his team would still want that Herald. If they fought for it once, no reason to not fight for it again, especially after you win the last fight, Skimmy. But that was very interesting because it looked like Pentanet.gg had the perfect positioning on the fight, but it just didn't go their way.
That answers our questions. We saw a small glimpse there. Not sure if you quite caught that. Obviously a little bit skewed now given the state of that skirmish that will favour Mboma. But he is up by 700 gold at this stage of the game over the Aphelios. So, definitely where you want to be when you've got a cheap item build like this. Always the discussion.
Oh my goodness, Skimmy. As a Lee Sin player, how do you not go for that one?
I played enough ARAMs with yourself to know if you hit a skill shot, you connect.
Well, he had complete vision on the two side lanes. He knew that there was an Echo bot and he knew there was a Psy on top. There could only be 3 mid. You have 5 people with you on the mid lane wave. You hit the Q. Why would you not try and get the flash? My Lee syndrome was just way too high there, Skimmy. I would have been in like you would not have believed.
Inspired like you were when you saw Speaker play. But they do feign that recall attempt. Decide to actually turn around and take the mid turret. And it spawns that quite nicely because now they can say, okay, that is our third dragon of the game. And this was a point that you highlighted, that advantage that could be found between the 17-minute mark all the way through to 24 minutes. They've put themselves in a soul point condition, so now the timer is really on here.
Certainly is. And if the Ezreal has Iceborne, which he does, and he has a little bit more, this is now, 30-40% cooldown Ezreal that is about to get transformed versus only one item Aphelios. And we see it all too often, Skimmy, where Aphelios will get 2 kills in the early game, and then everyone in Twitch chat is like, why are they picking Ezreal into Aphelios? Well, this power spike right here is exactly why you pick this champion. Because right now, Ezreal is the strongest person on Summoner's Rift, bar none. As soon as this transform comes across, he has legit 1v5 potential.
We continue to see the Death Stance be built as well, despite the changes. It is still ever so strong and continues to make Ezreal not only nimble, but very tanky in his own right as well, and very self-sufficient to play around the rest of his team. Built for success, built for protection, plenty of shields, and plenty of mobility as well. And as it stands, not the biggest lead spawn as we were wanting to see perhaps here come out from Mammoth, but it is still a lead nonetheless.
Yeah, and I would actually say that even though it's not a big gold lead, Skimmy, if you take into account where the game is right this instance, it's a huge lead. You've got 2 items on Orianna, one of which is a death cap. You've got the perfect items on Ezreal. He's, legitimately ready to go at his late game build right this instant. I would say if you were PGG, you are sweating the fact that you did not pick up that Mountain Dragon, because not only would it have been really nice for your Scion and your Volibear, you would have very much appreciated not being on Soul Point right this instant. And we'll see whether they're able to bring this one back, because 3 minutes until next Dragon, I don't know whether they're going to have the items to fight it.
Given the state of where we are with that Runans coming in for the Aphelios, you'd have to hope that he's on a fair chunk of gold before that does come online. Because the evolution has happened here now for the Ezreal. A ton of damage if they can look for a skirmish. The question is, will they want to, or will they wait?
I think you definitely wait for Dragon here if you are the Mammoth lineup. We said that they will get outscaled eventually. And, you don't want this to happen.
Well, this is when things get scary. Okay, well, Papa just jumps into the fold of things and says, let's deny the Lantern, let's deny any form of disengage. And the power spike we were so excited to see completely shut down in its tracks.
That's a tilter. You use the flash of your 80 carry. He gets caught out just before the team fight that you had to win. He was marching up mid lane when all you really had to do was seed and sack and give everything until that dragon fight, Skimmy. But the mid lane wave is too juicy for some 80 carries. And unfortunately, he goes down.
No questions are answered. The Runans will be completed in one single shot. So some power spikes will come online. Pentanet will be so hungry for to look to try and contest. It is a Protobelt, as you mentioned, fighting into a very, very fed Orianna. Gonna have so many key tugs to look to try and lock in place there with that shockwave.
And this is the stage of the game that Aphelios is such a strange champion, because now we have Praedyth, level 11, which is a massive spike for Aphelios because he does like his ultimate usage, Skimmy. And he does have 2 items. So that means it's going to be dependent on the guns that he's able to have before this fight goes across. In the ideal world, as soon as he ticks over to the green and white guns, he's just saying that if they run into us, which, you have a look at people like Lived, who is, 50 CS down now. If he runs into this Aphelios, he's going to get shredded. If Lee Sin goes in and whiffs the engage, he's going to get shredded. So whilst I do think, moments ago Mboma was in a really good situation, and he still can be based on the guns that Aphelios draws at this dragon fight, definitely not as secure as, a few moments ago.
And reason being, obviously, is he's going to need that range advantage, given the amount of threats he's going to have to try and juggle. His usage of flash is going to have to be impeccable. We've seen it already once, denying out the dash in there from Bash to try and kick him into the team. So there's no denying the mechanics that he has online, and what you can see as a result there, a 500 gold lead now favours him. So the swing of power between the 2 AD carries. Can he find a wave to try and manipulate these items, or sorry, these weapons that he has? Looks like we've got the AoE and the life leech, so very much in your face about it.
Not the best guns though, Skimmy. Sure, he can get a big ultimate pop, or he can get some health back. But as you mentioned, this is his short-range kit, and playing against Orianna Ezreal, you really want that long-range kit. So we'll see whether he's able to get a trade over. That's actually white-red. You know what? It's not the best, but it might do.
Look how close he is to expiring on that red gun.
If he has timed this perfectly, that just shows Praetor's mastery of this champion. He should just hit Dragon and burn it.
That's what I would like to see right now. The Scuttle spawns can turn onto that one as well. If he actually goes into the green gun, this will be so damn clean. Picture perfect, if you will. As Mammoth will look to set up themselves with some form of control. Keep tabs on where both Pabu and Getback are right now. Both forming a flank, looking to try and do a bit of a pincer maneuver. Getback's going to have to use his ultimate very early on as Mammoth are locked inside the Dragon Pit itself. Rogue's going to start things off. The box gets dropped on down, but locks him onto one. They're going to get locked in place. Stone's going to secure the Dragon. That is not going to be a soul point. That's an execution as well. Take out the fresh. Collect yourself a soul. And disengage as well. Complete chaos as Pentanet run them around the pit and really question what their objective was.
And I was checking to see whether BioPanther had Smite, but I don't think he had it. I think he just got it with the big smash from the Scion. So the Titan in the top lane able to pick up a Windrake, which would have been so needed for this Mammoth lineup. Now the game has stalled. You feel like it is going to tip back into Pentanet.GG's favor. Got themselves the gold lead, and the fights are looking to get a little bit rough, Skimmy. And you have to say, credit to Praetor there. He got the guns to tick over at literally the perfect moment.
There's a reason this is his most played, knows exactly what he's up to, and that has to be one of those mastery tactics that the best of the best will do, is knowing when to use what to hold it for, and that could have been a big deciding factor. Rather anticlimactic in the end, given it wasn't going to be the full 5v5, but nonetheless the amount of chaos that Pentanet were able to cause was sufficient enough to buy him just a little bit more time. You can still see how far away Getback is from completing this Lich Bane.
Yeah, Getback and Lived are both kind of irrelevant in this game. They've kind of traded places. You know, you can see about a 70 CS lead in the top lane and about a 40 in the mid. Ooh, hold the thought. Bats is so disciplined on these flash kicks, Skimmy. So disciplined.
Continues to look for them. Won't overexert himself right now. They still know that they are in the lead, and they're going to start up the Baron here. Looking to try and draw in the attention of Pentanet, so we want to force that 5v5. Devs as they've sentenced into the fray. They find a pick target, they find Rogue. Now Praetor turns things around. Tries to hit them with some Season 10 shenanigans. He's got the AoE set up. He's got the lockdown, and they're going to flash out of that hook. The shockwave onto two. In comes the kick, the exhaust, and the damage deletes. As both junglers get rowdy, but Praetor executes him from afar. Now Pabu jumps in, 1v4, like a UFC wrestler, looking for the purse, as Mboma has no mana and no chance to be nimble. You can have all the CDR in the world, but it means nothing when you've got no resources. That's the double buff transfer, and that is Pentanet saying, game on, our Baron.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Pentanet just showing that the war of attrition going their favour. As you really well pointed out there, Skimmy, no mana going to be available for Mboma. He was sitting on about 1,600 gold as the fight kicked off as well, so definitely not the situation where you want to be starting up a major objective. Great flank coming in from Getback, and Pentanet.GG just control the space, control the area, and it looks like the scaling has just been completed. Really well played from them.
Scaling is well and truly online now. The Lich Bane comes into effect. The team fight was clean. And they have patched out some of the weaknesses that could have been shaky early and mid-game. They are now the ones in the driving seat, up by 4,000 gold. A Baron buff that they can use to great effect. But let's see how it all started off, because it was Mammoth that pulled the trigger.
Yeah, so they hit Baron, and it looks like they're trying to fade him. But you can see in Mboma, he just has no mana left. And that's all of Ezreal's damage at this stage, you know? It's not just the ability to use the spells, it's the extra mana onto your auto attacks for that mana mune. And then using two ultimates on just the tank line means that Praetor can just flash his way forward and just continue to dish out huge amounts of damage and just continue to say it. Liv, not really a champion, more known for his his utility at this stage. In Mboma, without damage, without that mana, not going to be able to do anything. Really think that was a poorly timed fight there from Mammoth, but you got to credit Pentanet.GG because they capitalized like no one else.
He certainly did their spawn. And what has already caught my eye is the variation already that we're seeing. He's actually opting into the Cutlass, would actually find a fair bit of value given the amount of tanks that Pentanet are rocking at this stage.
Yeah, interesting game to go Cutlass, because you have a look at it, Blade of the Ruined King certainly going to do a lot of damage to the tanks, as you mentioned, but the other area I always look is just the fact that there is so much healing in the game right now, and you maybe have to just bite the bullet, buy yourself some healing cut. You know, Echo ultimate as well as Volibear, he's got a ton of healing built into his Red Gun, going to be available a lot for Praetor. You can see he's actually prioritizing Red Gun quite a bit because he knows champions are going to get on top of him. So I think, you know, potentially some healing cut would have been really, really nice, because I think that this is the game-winning push right here. You can already see they can't resist the push in 2 lanes. That Pentanet are just dragging them around Summoner's Rift. I think they can dive whenever they want, and I think that they can continue to just starve Mammoth out now.
Certainly seems to be the case right now. They are locked in their base, as you rightly point out. 1-4 split works in their favor. They can decide when they want this fight to favor them. They're going to show some great restraint and not use that Stormbringer just yet. Disable these turrets when it does matter. Surely looking at taking down this inhibitor. And if the fight works in their favor, then disabling the Nexus turrets for a clean sweep ace. They're going to decide against it in the end. They won't get the inhibitor. They will set themselves up with a win condition to play around.
Yeah, very safe play coming out of Pentanet. When you have an Orianna with no flash and an Ezreal with no flash, that's generally a pretty good time to look for a game-winning push. But you get what they're doing. They don't want to lose the game off the back end of giving away a Cloud Soul or something like that, so they do take a recall. They had a lot of gold to spend. And you can see that Volibear now, incredibly tanky, now that he's picked himself up a Stoneplate. And across the board, you have to say, at this stage of the game, as we said was going to happen, we kind of said 18 to 24 minutes, but we're now 30 minutes into the game, Skimmy. Everyone apart from our Orianna is just strictly worse than their counterparts now.
Taking anything away from Chungy, he is still an absolute monster, but the power spike, or the significant item difference that he had over this Echo only moments prior, has diminished a fair bit as a result. And, well, the 3 tanks, as tanky as they may be, will Mboma get the uptime to use that Blade of the Ruined King to good effect? Still waiting for some life cut, as you highlighted as well. Pentanet not going to leave that one to chance. They will deny away the soul points. And we might now see a bit of a slowed down tempo. Potentially with a Baron spawning in 2 minutes to try and decide this one.
And now if you're Pentanet, you're not in a rush at all, Skimmy. If you weren't going to end off that Baron, why not just wait for the next Baron? You know, no point face-checking jungle or going for any risky 5v5s. Get perfect information around the Baron buff. Set up, you know, be disciplined, play your waves well, and try and get something from there.
Well, that is a insane ultimate clapping onto 3 members. The hook max range nearly landed, but the shockwave will disengage and prevent it. Pabu's going to jump on forward there, use of the Righteous Glory. Unable to find that key target. Both teams trying, but both teams unable to find.
Yeah, however, when you look at it, that was an exhaust use for no summoner spells on the side of the Pentanet.gg lineup. So every little... And a flash use now. Every little thing counts when it comes to things like these Baron fights, Skimmy. And they've just used 2 massive resources 3 minutes before the biggest objective on the game is going to be up in that Soul. And, you know, the Dragon also... Baron just also around the corner.
Arctic, you can sense feeling a little bit pressured by the current climate of this game and feeling like he needs to make something happen. As things get scary and scary, now down by 5,000 golds. You really do start to feel now that Pentanet are fully in control of this game.
And look how much damage Ezreal does when he has mana, Skimmy. It's just so night and day to what he was able to have. They've also got themselves control of this mid lane. Need to be very wary of the flank that can come out of Echo, however, because that is how the last fight kicked off. But 20 seconds until this objective going to be up and available for fighting for. And Mammoth look like they have at least one good scuffle in them.
Get back will be capped on his CDR as well, so going to be very nimble, very slippery as the target to try and lock down.
Oh, honestly, I don't even know how you can test this Baron now. They just completely gave away mid lane control. Really great read from Pentanet to know that they just had to staunch them off that wave. They've now got complete top lane control. And they're just going to be walking through vision upon vision upon vision. Never going to know where the flanks are coming from. You never are going to know how to hit this Wombo combo now. You can see they can just tank it forever with Biopanther. He's so damn tanky.
They certainly are, and they've got vision. They're well aware as to where their opponents are right now. The lanes continue to favour them, continue to push in as the spooky ghosts go on out. Look to try and lock down a target, but it's not going to net themselves anything at this stage. That's Mammoth playing around with the harassment from afar. What can they try and burn out as a resource here from Pentanet? Get back once again on the flank, looking for an angle, looking for back line access.
Huh, okay. And they just give it up. They give up inside track. They say, you know what, we're not going to flip a Baron fight. Pentanet, is it... Like, it's definitely just conservative play, Skimmy.
Because look at the minion wave pushing bot that's targeting an inhibitor. Somebody has to respond to that.
Yeah, and they could have held them there forever, right? They were taking no damage from it. You could see that Get Back was actually the person running around. He dealt with mid lane wave. So as you mentioned, they had bottom lane wave kind of in a really good spot for them. It was doing damage to the inhibitor. But then they also just had great inside track on this Baron, but must have had a big item completion. You can see that it is going to be the Bramble Vest picked up for Bio, who's sitting at around 6,000 health right now. It could have been the fact that this Dragon is coming up and available. But it is just quite interesting to see that Pentanet, they're willing to play a very slow game, which is kind of counter to how everyone else, apart from Legacy, plays in the OPL.
Definitely showing a lot of respect to their opponents in what a wipe at this stage of the game would represent and how the flow of things could then trickle down to giving away a soul point, which they will just evaporate. Now they can have their eyes firmly fixated on a Baron dance. As that Dragon has been taken off the map for another 5 minutes. The mid-ARM continues. Get Back's had enough of it. He's going to go bot lane once again to set themselves up with that dance situation once more. And that might be a chance now for them to make something happen. They've been dealing with frustration for a while. The Gravitum from afar will lock them in place, and Mammoth just aren't allowed to play their style.
And I don't know whether they can actually do the Baron quick enough. So I think they genuinely have to recall here. Otherwise, they just lose the game.
Oh, he's actually going to receive the hook. The Stone Plate's going to come out, buying him a little more time. He's able to use the ultimate to good effect, but it's not going to be enough because Praediv's just going to get deleted as well. Is an inhibitor worth 2 deaths? They're going to have to send somebody back, but the Baron's still the heads of measure. We have numbers. Do we just go for this? Because Getback's just going to try and go for the end. This is a risky shot call. Bipep just runs to 1v5, and the Bruises just delete every single member alive. They can't do anything about this one. You said it'll take a while, and they'll lose members, so it'll take even longer as a result. The game of chess, it's beautiful here from Pentanet.
And they're just way more composed, Skimmy. You can see that Biopanther and Pabu knew exactly what they were doing there. Chasing down members, ensuring that they have the ability to do this Baron. Get Back, meanwhile, fighting a 2v1. We'll get shut down.
Comes out to stasis, instantly gets shockwaved. And sent back into the fountain.
So the Baron is still alive, Skibby.
That's crazy.
How is the Baron still alive?
The Baron is the biggest bait, it seems, at this stage. Neither team is willing to fully commit to it. Both teams playing around. Well, are you going to face check us? Are you going to go for an objective? Are you going to go for a push? It really feels like to me that we are maybe waiting for a 3-minute soul point content.
Which is crazy, because the first 3 dragons of the game went over to Pentanet, right? And now the next 3 have gone over... went to Mammoth. The next 3 have gone to Pentanet. However, Baron has been started up. They do it relatively quickly now. Jungler nowhere to be seen.
They're back here again. Lived can teleport in from the bot wave. And that's exactly what he is doing right now as Bio jumps into the fray of things. 4 members around him will fall on down swiftly. A fair bit of magic damage to deal with. From the afterlife, he continues to try and be destructive. That's going to be Yuvabu jumping on in. He gets roundhouse kicked away, and that will negate the Blossom. That will soon to follow. He looks for the execution as the True Shot Barrage will just go swinging on through. And it's that thing again there, Spawn. It just does not matter. The Baron is a non-factor.
And you feel like something has to give here, Skimmy. Like, they have to lose this game eventually due to this split push, because Get Back is just constantly allowing his team to 4v5. Sure, this time Biopanther gets shut down, but in reality, they're just continuing to chip away at the base, trying to take these inhibitors a little bit lower. Once again, they're going to stream towards Baron.
Oh my gosh.
Surely the Scion just ends now.
take number 20 off the Barons here. 37 minutes in, respawn timers are so damn high. One mistake here will cost Mammoth the game. One Nexus turret remains. They're going to try and put it in and they steal it. Pabu wins those. A disgusting 4-man knock-up. There is no chance for an outplay. There is no chance for a comeback. And we waited so damn long for this. And Pentanet will be rewarded.
What a steal. Well played from Pabu. Gets in there, gets the steal. His team picks up the back end of the fight decisively as well. And Pentanet, in 40 minutes, will get themselves a win.
Mammoth are going to feel hard done by in this game. Everything went their way. Mid-game came around. And the fancy feet came back to haunt them. That's going to close things out here. A Baron steal will do it. And Pentanet will get off week number 5 in winning ways.
Yeah, really nice game from the top side of the map of Pentanet. I think their macro was really, really great, Skimmy. And when you have a look at the decision-making of Mammoth, you can see why they're struggling this split. They had so many times where they probably should have won that game, getting caught out on mid lane when you're on your power spy for Ezreal, giving up, I think, 3 soul points, and then a couple of tosses at the Baron as well. But really, that's what you expect from a young team, and Pentanet.gg is just good enough, much like Legacy at the moment, to just continue to stall you out, bait you out, wait for you to make this mistake, and then capitalize and take the game.
It's a crazy game, and that is our 3rd game of the night. We've got one more after the break. It's going to be a big one to check forms of these teams coming into the midway point of Split 2. After the break, it will be Avant taking on the Direwolves.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
It's got it! This is deadly! It's got it!
Welcome to the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson.
And that's a beautiful hemo play. Got to multiple members. He gets himself a double kill. It's Ray's doing what he does. The team fight king.
We love everybody. We love the OPL.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.